Hello and welcome to my training Zoom room. This afternoon we're going to play with Microsoft Excel's Data 1, my sorting and filtering session. So we're going to play with sorting, and some of you have been using Excel for a while. I'm sure you've sorted before, but there's all sorts of little tips and tricks I want to throw at you. So we're playing with the multiple level sorting, sorting by color, sorting across instead of up and down. We're going to play with filters that show single level, multiple level, sorting it, filtering it by color, and how to copy filtered data. So that's all the information we're going to cover today. Our handouts are here, the training.health.ufl.edu Zoom Excel files. I pasted that link into the chat window. So if you wanted to follow it, you can. My name is Pandora Rose Cowart, and I teach all of the Excel classes. I also offer help sessions. So if you email me, we can set up time to go through the material or whatever project you're currently working on. So let's go look at the website. So here are the 6 Excel data classes, and I have the name of it, the PDF, right? The zip file, which includes the class file as well as the PDF, and the previously recorded sessions are here. So as you scroll through, we can see there are 6 of them, and you're welcome to come to as many as you'd like, or watch the recordings, or again, schedule time with me to do them one-on-one. And I miss working with people individually, so please don't feel like you're bothering me. That's what I'm here for. All right, so the file that we're going to play with is this one here. Okay, so this is my sort and filter Microsoft Excel file. And if you need to, make sure you enable the editing. I'm going to try to do this at a pace that you can follow along with me, but you are welcome just to watch if you prefer. So we're going to start with our sort order. All right, I'll put the file into the chat window one more time because I see we have a couple of late people coming in. All right, so in that chat window is the file if you want to play along. So this is my data set, and you'll see these people over and over in my sessions. And I have it currently sorted by last name, and that's my default sort. So when I add in new people here, I automatically resort this data by the last name. But of course, we could sort by any column that we wanted. And I'm going to start by coming over here, and I'm just going to click on the title for city, just the title. And in the Home tab, way over on the far right side, I see my sort and filter options. And if we open this, you'll see the 6 tools that we're going to play with today. Sort A to Z, Z to A, custom sort, filter, clear, and reapply. I'm starting with just sorting. Again, I'm only in cell D1. And when I tell it to sort A to Z, well, something happened. Did you see it flash at me? Let's tell it to undo. So up here with my save and undo, undo does 2 things. It shuffles the data back to the way it originally was, and it selects the data set that it actually sorted. So if you're not sure it got all the columns, when you hit undo, it shows you the part that it was trying to sort for you, which is kind of cool. All right, so this means I don't have to have the whole thing selected to be able to sort. You absolutely can, but you don't have to. Let's see what happens if I try to do a selection and sort. I'm going to click on column D for my cities again, and I'm going to go to my sort and filter, and I'm going to ask it to sort again, A to Z. Now, last time it just took care of it for me, but this time it gives me a warning message. It's like, are you sure that you wanted to do just this bit? Because I bet you didn't. I bet you want to expand. On a rare occasion, you may decide that you do want to continue, but of course I do want to expand the selection. And when I choose sort, again, I lose all of the other cities. I only have Gainesville. It seemed kind of subtle because a big chunk was already there. But again, if I undo, right, it selects the data that was sorted. And here come my Waldos and Jacksonvilles. Okay. So what I want you to see from that is that if you make a selection, it's going to offer you the choice to sort just the selection. The rule of thumb is it's everything or what you selected. All right. And most of the time it'll prompt you and say, are you sure you didn't mean everything? So if you were making a selection before you're sorting, you're slowing yourself down because you have to do this extra step. So just put yourself in the title and choose the sort. Now, if you're not sure if it's a whole data set, one of the things you can do is click on a cell and press Control A to select all. And what it will do is it'll pick up all of the connected data. And if you do it again, it'll get the whole worksheet. Or if I do it from an empty cell, it gets the whole worksheet. But here, for example, I've seen people delete rows and columns, and now Control A, Control A. Do you see what's happening? Control A. So that tells me that this is not a connected data set. All right, good. So I have my data set. I'm going to make sure I'm sorted by last name. So I'm on cell A1. I'm going to sort and filter and choose sort A to Z just to make sure I'm back to where I was when I started. So that's my sort order choice based on what I'm currently looking at, but it's not my only sort order option, right? I could sort by something else. But let's say I've decided to set up my own custom sort. And let's do something kind of random. I'm going to sort by address, sort and filter A to Z. And then I'm going to sort by balance, sort and filter small to large. And then I'm going to sort by zip code, sort and filter small to large. Just so I have some randomness here. It's okay if yours don't match mine exactly. I'm just looking for some randomness. And what I have here is Roger Roberts is my first person. But again, I'm just trying to shuffle the data around. And I'm going to make believe that this is the order that I want it to be sorted. So as I add in more data, if I end up sorting something else, I want it to come back to this order. So we're going to insert our own sort column. I'm going to right click on column A, and I'm going to tell it to insert. And I'm going to call this sort. All right, so I right clicked on column A. I'm going to type in the word sort. I'm going to put in the first two numbers, 1, enter, 2, enter. So 1, 2. That's all I need to do. So I inserted a column, put in the numbers 1, 2. I'm going to select both numbers. And from the bottom right-hand corner underneath that 2, on that little square, I can double click. And it will go wee, 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 all the way down, incrementing for me. Now, that's not going to be magical. It won't give me 77, 78, 79 as I add in more people. I'll have to put those numbers in. But this makes it so that if I decide to sort by something, I'm going to go back up to the top and sort by the last name. All right, so I can then play with any of these columns in any sort order I want. And when I need it back to my initial way, perhaps it's the way that I entered them in, so it's in chronological order, I can just come back to column A. Again, I'm not taking the column, I'm just on that 1. And I'm going to sort A to Z and put it back into my default sort, the sort that I want to start with. Let's sort by last name again. What if I decide from this point forward it should be 1, 2, 3, 4 here? Well, I could type in 1, 2 and refill that down. Or let's just resort column A by itself. I'm going to click on the A. All right, Annie Adams is my first person. I'm going to sort and filter, smallest to largest, but this time I'm going to continue with the current selection, not the whole thing. So when I continue with the current one and I tell it to sort, now 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up with Annie, April, and Arnold. Okay, that's up to you. I'm going to delete this new column. I'm going to make sure that Adams is my first person on my list. So I right clicked on that sort column, told it to delete the entire column. And I made sure that Annie Adams and April Appleton are my first two people by sorting by last name. So hopefully if you're playing along, yours looks like mine. Now, being in the medical and educational community, those little suffixes are a big deal, right? The little MDs and PhDs and all those little initials that go at the end. So I think it would be nice if we put a degrees column in this data set. And so I'm going to put it here in front of our first name. So it'll be last name degrees. I'm going to right click on column B and I'm going to choose insert to push it over. Okay. Oh, but I needed this sorted by city. So let me come back over here to city and sort this A to Z. So I get all the Gainesvilles first. And now, oh, it's subtle because Gainesville is such a big city for us. But can you see it? So I've got that alliteration, AA, but now it should have been Bobby Brown. And as we get further down, it becomes a lot more obvious that these aren't matching up anymore. So what happened? Well, let's undo. When I tell it to undo, it undoes the sort and it shows me the area that was being sorted. So I see that I separated these by putting this column in. Does that mean I need to have everything filled in? No. I just need to have a title. Give me a bridge. Give me something to connect these. So here, I'm going to put in the word degrees. Okay. And let's try again. I'm going to come over to city and I'm going to sort. And now MMLLs, right? My alliteration is sound and it brought everything with it. But again, if you're ever not sure, you can always undo and you'll see the area that was actually being sorted. Feel okay with that? All right. Basically, the rule I want you to take away from this is that every column should have a title and every row should have a title. And if you don't have a good solid title at the front, throw in that sort line. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4 line number down the side to try to connect them together so it becomes one big data set. So you don't have to think about, oh, did I select everything? Oh, did I select everything? By putting a title across the top and along the left side, Access will pick up all of that for you. Because even if I take all of this out, when I come up here and Control A, see it picked up all of it. Okay, so you want to have a title for every column and title for every row. So I'm going to keep hitting undo until I get back to where I want, which is basically here, last first, with Annie Adams at the top and April Appleton underneath. So if you want to, you can just keep hitting undo until that happens. But I'm looking for Annie and April to start from here. Okay. I'm coming over to the word balance in cell G1. I'm going to click on the sort and filter, and I want you to see, because I'm on a cell that has a word in it, I see A to Z and Z to A. Okay. If I click on a number underneath, when I come back into this menu, I see small to large and large to small. What do you think? Okay. So this allows me to be able to change based on where I am. If I come over here to the date, I get old to new and new to old. Okay. I don't like that I have to keep opening this menu. My 6 tools are here, but I have to open the menu every time. So let's instead move over to the data tab, because on the data tab, I have a whole sort and filter group with my 6 tools, my A to Z, Z to A, my custom sort, my filter, clear, and reapply. The advanced options we'll get to in the data 2 session. For now, actually, all I want to do is look at the big custom sort. So it doesn't matter where you are, just make sure you're not in an empty cell. Say somewhere in the data. And again, I usually aim for a title. And I'm going to click the big sort button here on the data tab. If you're still in the home tab, you can say sort and filter custom sort. But in my custom sort window, a couple of things I want to show. Notice that my titles are not included because it thinks that we have headers, right? So that's why I see this last first address. If I turn off the headers, I will see column A, B, C, D, E instead. And I do like the headers there. Let me put those back in. So I see my last. We're going to do a 3-level sort order. I want to sort by city. And then I'm going to add a level, right? It only looks like there's one, but here's my add level. You can have up to 64 levels. Once you get beyond 8, I think you're getting ridiculous. But you know, we can do 64 if we need to. After city, I'm going to do balance, and I'm going to add a level, and I'm going to do due date. And again, I get that contextual, whether it's text or numbers or dates, right there in my order section. All right, before I click OK, what am I asking this to do? I'm asking it to sort by all the cities. So I'm going to see all the Gainesvilles at the top and then Jacksonville, Stark, and Walden. Okay. So I'll see all my Gainesvilles at the top. Within that, I'm going to sort by the balance, the smallest balance to the biggest balance. And if the balance is the same, I'm going to see the oldest date to the newest date. That's the sort order I'm asking for. City, balance, due date. And when I click OK, it should look like this. Jack Johnson is my first person. So I said, here's all my Gainesvilles, right? And then it's by the balance, so small balance to large balance. And when the balance is the same, I get the oldest date to the newest date. Okay, let's see. Undo. What happens if I undo and I want it to come back? Well, then I can redo, right? But I told it to undo, so I'm back to where I was with Annie Adams. Let's go back into the big custom sort. And it forgot all about the sort order that I had. Now it's selected, but it doesn't have to be, right? If I'm on a single cell, so let's do it again. City, balance, due date. City, add a level, balance, add a level, due date. Okay. City, balance, due date. And when I click OK, I again get Jack, Jennifer, Bobby, Orville. Okay. Oh, but maybe I want due date and then balance. Let's go back into the custom sort. I could change the drop-down list, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to click on the then by in front of balance so that line turns blue. And I want to bring your attention to the little up and down arrows that are here because I can rearrange the order from here. Right, so I could change all the options or I could just pick them up and move them around with these little arrow buttons. So I have now city, due date, balance. What am I changing? Well, we had smallest balance to largest balance before, but now within each city, I'm going to see the oldest date to the newest date. And if the dates are the same, then the smallest to the largest. So let's see the change. When I click OK, Jack Johnson's still my first person, but look here, 713, smallest to largest, right? Moving down. When the day's the same, smallest to largest. This is a different sort than we had before. Cool. Okay, I'm going to come back again to cell A1, and I'm going to click on my A to Z button to reset myself back to Annie Adams. If you need to, you can always undo. This is where I want to be. Let's go back in and look at the custom sort. And again, it forgot the multiple levels and it just goes back to my most recent sort. Well, let's go ahead and delete that level. Okay, well, I do need to set up a sort level. So just add one in, right? Let's sort by address. And have you noticed the beautiful color coding in the background? I went through and made all of my fruit streets peachy and all my veggie streets green. Let's look at the fruity streets first. So I don't care so much about the value of the cell as much as I do the color of the cell. So I'm sorting my addresses by cell color, and I would like all the fruity streets first, so the peaches come first. Then I'm going to copy that level and make the veggies come next. Okay. If you had several other colors, they would be there. Now, if you chose 3 different greens to color in your vegetables, you're going to end up with 3 different greens here, right? This is not the full palette. These are just the colors that are in use. Let's add another level to sort by balance, largest to smallest. Okay. Sorting by the fruity colors, then sorting by the veggie colors, then sorting by the largest to the smallest. And when I click OK, it should look like this, where I get all my fruits, largest to smallest, all my veggies, largest to smallest, and then it starts over again for any other colors that we may have, largest to smallest. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Good. Let's go back to our default, right? Come back over here to cell A1 and A to Z to put Annie Adams back to the top of our list as I make a mess. Love it. All right. What's next? Well, when we came in here to sort the data, it probably didn't even occur to you to sort it in any other way than just up and down, right? So we're going to rearrange the people. When I change my sort order, if I sort by balance or due date, we're putting the people in order. But it is possible to sort left to right, to rearrange the columns instead of the rows. So I want to show you how to do that next. Coming here to my data tab, into my custom sort, I'm going to click on the options button. Now, by default, Microsoft Excel is not case sensitive. A big A is the same thing as a little a, but you can force it to be. It's been very rare I've ever needed it, but it is possible if you do. Otherwise, we're fine. But this is what I want to play with, the sort left to right. So again, I came into the custom sort. I clicked on options, and I'm choosing sort left to right. And when I click OK, I get to choose which row we're going to sort. And I want to sort row 1. So I'm sorting row 1 based on the value from A to Z. Think address through zip code, right? I'm rearranging the columns here. And notice the whole data set selected. So all of the data is going to come with us. I'm going to click OK. All right, I know it looks funny, but let's see here. A, B, C, D. All right, from address all the way across to zip code. All right, the columns need to be fixed and stuff, but all right, so I hear you. Pandora, why would I ever do this? Well, maybe not, but I have seen data dumps that come in and they're not in the order that you want them to be. So you could go through the process of, moving them all around and trying to cut and insert cut and making sure you're not overlapping. Or if you can figure out the order you want it in, we can tell Excel to rearrange it. Let's come here to row 2. I'm going to insert a row. So right click, insert. And let me put this in the order that I want. I'm going to do first name 1, last name 2. Then I want address 3, right? City 4, state 5, zip 6, balance 7, nope, 8, and we'll do 7. So these numbers are going along row 2. I inserted a row on row 2, going across 3, 8, 4, 7, 1, 2, 5, 6. 3, 8, 4, 7, 1, 2, 5, 6. And once you have the numbers in there, we're going to go back in and we're going to resort it based on row 2. So coming back to my custom sort, we're going to change row 1 to be row 2. And since these are numbers, not letters, right? Instead of A to Z, I'm going small to large. And when I say OK, first, last address, city, state, zip, due date, balance. Just like that. First and last name are backwards. Remember, we had last degrees first. So the last name should be here on the first column. So I'm going to select both of them. Because again, the rule of thumb is the sort is for everything or your selection. So I'm selecting just these 2. And in my custom sort, I'm going to change this to be the largest number in row 2 to the smallest. And when I click OK, it should swap. So I have last name, then first name. Do the same thing over here with due date and balance, right? You can sort row 1, A to Z, or row 2, large to small. With these 2 selected, coming into the custom sort, and I could do row 1, A to Z, or row 2, large to small, to get balance before due date. Groovy. Okay, well, now that I have them in the right order, last, first address, city, state, zip, balance, due date, I'm going to get rid of row 2. So let me right click on the number 2 and delete the entire row. Good. And I want to make sure my sort order is still set up. So coming back to a single cell, going back into the custom sort. And let's see, I've got rows here. Let's change our options to be top to bottom, right? So we're going up and down again. Okay. And when I come in here, I can sort by column A, which is our last name column. When I say okay, something awkward happens. What happened to last, first, address, city, state, zip? Well, that got moved down here to row 36. Let's undo. So what's going on is that it forgot that we had headers, right? With the rows, we don't have headers. So when I switched my columns back, it forgot we had headers. And sometimes this just happens in Excel. Suddenly it forgets that you had titles. And it might be because you're missing a title from one of the columns. It might be that you got data over here, like a note that you wrote and you didn't realize it, that it's now trying to incorporate it. And so there's no title here. What we need to do is just go back into our custom sort. And here is a little checkbox that says my data has headers. So we'll remind it that we want to sort by the titles, and you'll see it drop out of the selection in the background. Good. So I'm sorting by the last name, A to Z, and okay. Whew. That's what I wanted to show you about sorting. So there's a bunch of different little things. I hope I taught you something in it. We're going to get to filters here in a moment, but this is everything to do with the sort order, right? So we've got the quick sorts here and a big sort where you can throw in multiple options. All right. I'm going to exit out of Microsoft Excel. I'm not going to save it. And then I'm going to open it up again. I'll give you a minute to find the file again if you need to. All right, so I'm back here without any changes. You could have undone, undo, 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 undo. The ultimate undo is just to close and not save it, right? So that puts everything back to where it was before we started. So the concept of a filter is it's giving us just what we want, right? So if I want a coffee filter, right, gives me the good stuff, takes out all the grounds, an air filter, a water filter, it's removing the stuff that we don't want, right? What I want right now is only to see the people who live in Waldo. So I don't want anything else. I'm going to filter them so that they're not here anymore. And we're going to do a really quick filter to start with. I want you to look on your worksheet for Waldo. You see him, he's in there more than once. Where's Waldo? Once you find a Waldo, I want you to right click on it. And again, here are my filter and sort tools. I'm going to come to filter, and I'm going to tell it to filter by the selected cell's value. Since I was on Waldo when I right clicked, when I filter it, I will only get Waldo, right? It removes the rest of the stuff for me. It's gorgeous. All right, so what happened to the rest of the data? Well, notice over here that my row numbers have changed, right? And so these are all blue, but they're actually still the right row. So Kathy Cappers was actually in row 7. It just hid everything else. And in the newer versions of Excel, you can actually see that little double line whenever there's a hidden row, okay? When I turned the filter on, I automatically got all these little drop-down arrows next to each of my headers, next to each of the titles. And notice the one for city, because I told it to only find Waldo, that one has a funnel on it. And the last thing is down here in your status bar at the bottom of the window, I'm able to see how many records out of a total value that I found. So I see 9 of my 76 records. Okay. If I change my mind, I decide I don't want it anymore. Oopsie, I don't want drawing anymore either. I don't want this maximized. Come on over, baby. Okay, then I can turn the filter back off. So I'm in my data set. All right, I'm going to come up to sort and filter, and I'm just going to click filter to turn it off. I'm not clearing it, I'm just turning it off, so it's not here anymore at all. Instead of playing with that menu, let's go to the data tab where I have my filter, clear, and reapply buttons. Typically, once I have turned on the filter, I'm going to leave it on because I'm going to use it again and again and again. So when I'm just going to click on filter again to bring it back for myself, okay? Which is awesome. They don't print, Okay, let me turn the filter back off. Again, just like with our sort order, the rule of thumb is it's everything or the selection. So if I just grab a couple of cells and I turn on the filter, notice it only does it for that selection. We turn that back off. Same thing if I know I'm going to be filtering by city, sometimes it's tempting to grab city and click filter so that the filter only happens on that one column. But if I want to be able to then filter within the city by a balance, I can't here. So again, the selection or a single cell. So anywhere in here, I'm going to click on the filter button and get that little drop down list for each one. So let's explore those. I'm coming here to my city filter. I've got my sort tools because sort and filter are always lumped together. I've got my filter tools and I got a list of everything that's in here. It's a great way to find your typos as well. So let's say we're going to remove Gainesville. So I'm unchecking Gainesville and I'm going to click OK. And I've filtered out so it's not there anymore. So all I see are the other cities. There's 21 records, right? Look at the status bar at the bottom. Let's get rid of Jacksonville. So coming back into the drop-down list, I'm going to uncheck Jacksonville and click OK. So now I just have Stark and Waldo. All right, let's do the opposite. I'm going to come back into the city. I'm going to select all so everybody comes back. Then I'm going to remove Stark and Waldo and say OK. So all I see are Gainesville and Jacksonville, and there's 64 of the 76 people. Okay, let's go back in and tell it to clear the filter from city. That's just like a select all, but it's a select all and closes the menu for me. All right, I want zip code 32608, and I could try to find one in here because I know they're in here more than once, but I'm just going to come into the zip drop down. And I see a whole, there it is right there. And I might click on it, but that's exactly the opposite of what I want, isn't it? So this select all, even though it doesn't say it, is also an unselect all. So you can just keep clicking this till everything is not checked. Click on the one value you want, click on the one value that you want to see, and click OK. And there are my 32608s. Wait, 32608 is a Gainesville zip code, but I got a couple of Jacksonvilles in here. So maybe they're supposed to be in Gainesville. Maybe it's 32208. Well, let's come into that drop-down list for city. And I want you to see that Stark and Waldo are gone. So this cascades into each column. We'll get a shorter list. So if you're dealing with a really large, complicated query filters that you want to set up, we might decide to shrink them down, right? So find the one that's the most unique, and then you can work through the list so they keep getting shorter. Let's get rid of Gainesville because the Jacksonville ones are the ones that are wrong, and click OK. And so here, Jacksonville 32608, that doesn't line up. So these are the ones I need to fix. And once I fix them, I could clear the filter. I could clear it from city and from zip, or we can do them both at the same time by up here next to the filter button, pushing the clear button. Now, if you accidentally hit filter, just click filter again. All right, so we have the filter on all of our columns. All right, so I cleared the filter. Let's find everybody who owes me less than $100. So in the balance, oh, that looks like a lot of clicks. Whenever you find yourself going through and going clickety, click, 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 it might be easier to use a custom filter. Okay, so I'm going to come here to number filters, and I'm going to say less than, and here we just type in 100. All right, so balance is less than 100, and when I click OK, there it is. I got 12 records, right? Again, I can look at this bottom. I don't have to count them. Okay. I'm going to clear the filter. You can click on the clear button here, or open the menu and choose clear, or open the menu, choose select all and OK if you want to go the slow route. All right, starting in Office 2010, Microsoft Excel started lumping the dates together. So Right now, when I look at the balance, I see all the individual balances. We used to have to do that with dates. We would see the individual dates, but we're using a newer version. So we're able to see that it groups the dates together for us, which is cool. So I only want to see 2018. So let me turn off my select all and look at 2018 and click OK. Let's look at just July, August for 2018. Let me open this back up. I'm going to uncheck 2018, so nothing is selected. And in front, that little plus sign is called an expand button. So when I click on the expand button, I can see July, August, September. There's no August. There's no December either. There's no data there. I can go deeper though. If I want to see the individual days, I can expand this. And if I had times in here as well, then I would be able to expand to be able to go down to the hour and the minute, right? We can go deeper and deeper with these. All I'm interested in, as I said, was July, August, and September of 2018. And when I click OK, there it is. Okay, let's see. I want fiscal year 18-19. So what am I talking about? July 1st, 18 through June 30, 19. Let me come back in here and look at my filter. I'm coming into date filter because this one's going to be a lot of clickety click click clicks. So let's go into between, and I want 7/1/18 through 6/30/19. Right, so in the due date dropdown, I went to custom filter here, my date filter, and I said between 7/1/18 through 6/30/19. And when I click OK, I get these 28 records. Let's go for the next fiscal year. I don't have to clear it. I'm doing the same column, so I can just do the next one. Here are my due date, my date filters. I'm going to choose between again. And we're just going to change the dates here. This is going to be 19. This is going to be 20, right? Work smarter, not harder. All I have to do is change the 2 years. And when I click OK, there it is, 1920. And if I wanted to go again, 2021, and then 21-22, right? Being able to come in and just change my filter here. I'm going to bring everybody back. I would like to find everybody whose last name begins with the letter J. I'll give you a second to try to figure that one out. I want the last name. Make sure you've cleared it so everybody came back. Last name begins with a J. That seems like it's something that's going to have a lot of clicks to it. And just like I had a number filter and a date filter, I do have text filters. And I can say that it begins with a J and click OK. Cool. How about if it ends with an S? So I'm going to come back in. Text filters ends with S, Silly Sam Snake. And I get these 21. What if I had meant to add to that? What if I had wanted these people here? It had to begin with a J and it had to end with an S. Well, let's start over. Let's again do begins with J. So last name, text filter begins with J. And on the next line, I'm going to go with ends with. You have to scroll for it, but it's in there. Ends with an S. So I'm trying to get Jax, Jacobs, Jenkins, on and on. So begins with a J, ends with an S. Okay. I only get 2 options, but you know, it's pretty cool that I can do that between statement. What if I wanted it to begin with a J or end with an S? Either one of them would be okay. Well, let's go back in. Text filter, custom filter. And the trick is the little box in between my begins and ends, my little and or. Okay, so peanut butter and jelly sandwich, all that goo is stuck together. Peanut butter or jelly sandwich are 2 separate things, right? We think about I need to be in Gainesville or Waldo because I can't be in both at the same time. but I want it to be between this date and that date, right? So the dates would need to come together, the cities would be opposite. When we're talking about something like text, sometimes we need to change the and or property. So if I make this an or, when I click OK, right, I have 25. I only had 21 before. So it means I have a couple of names here that start with a J that do not end with an S. Groovy. Let me clear this. Can you find for me all the fruity streets? Well, I color coded those, right? So here in my address, I can filter by the peaches, and there are all of my fruits. To look at the veggie streets, let me come in here and choose filter by veggies, my green, and there they are. Now, if you want the whole produce section, well, tough. You don't get that option. You only get to pick one color, but the fact that you can do it at all is so cool. This is great. Now, before we sorted by color, I want you to think, the Jacksonville 32608s, if we didn't have time to fix those, we could have color coded those. And then later, like on a Friday afternoon when we have time, right, we'd be able to filter out that color. And these are the ones that need to be corrected. So I could mark things as we go through and say, you need to check this, you need to check this, and be able to play with it. All right, let me clear my filter. What I want next is all of the addresses that have the word box in them. I'm looking for all the PO boxes, all the rural route boxes. So let's come here into my address. And I could say my text filter contains, but I don't have to because I have this search bar here instead. And right now in this list, I'm seeing all 76 addresses. But when I come into the search box, if I start to type, it's going to make this list shorter for me. I'm going to do it slowly here. Give me a B. And it made this list shorter. Here are my bananas and icebergs and boulevards. Okay. Let me make it an O. There are my lost boys and my boxes. Give me an X. And now these are all of the addresses that have the word box in them. And I'm just going to click OK. And just like that, there are all my PO boxes and rural route boxes. Awesome. Okay, let me clear that filter. I want to see everybody that owes me more than $600. So I've cleared my filter, coming to balance, greater than 600. Okay. And Edgar came in and he paid me, not everything, but most of it. So he now only owes me $200. So Edgar's balance, $200. Okay. Why is he still here? He doesn't owe me more than 600 anymore. Well, what if you made a mistake, right? You wouldn't want it to just magically disappear. If I had typed in, if I had meant to do 700 instead of 200, right? So it can stay for now, but if it's a long list and I'm trying to clean it up as I fix things, it's nice to have it, refreshed to be able to give me the new data set. And what it's actually called is reapply. So up here under your clear button is my reapply. And when you do that, the ones that don't match your criteria anymore will disappear. So I said I didn't want, I only want greater than 600. As I make my changes, every time I refresh, as the numbers get smaller, they'll disappear on me. Cool. All right, let's clear this filter. I want everybody from 2019 with no produce. So I'm looking for the due date to only be 2019. I'm looking for my addresses to not have any color. That's my no fill. Again, if you use 3 different oranges, you're going to see 3 different oranges on this list. I'm going to do no fill. Okay. And I want between $200 and $400. So in my balance, between 200 and 400. So my filters here are due date is 2019, address is no color, and balance is greater than 200, less than 400. 3 different columns that I have to change criteria on. And I end up with just these 5 records, okay? I'm going to select them. Again, you can press Control A or drag your mouse over the selection and copy. And I get these little dashed lines. Do you see them? Well, the dashed lines, and yours might even be moving depending on what your settings are. This is what's copying, right? We get a dashed line around our copied data. Let's make a new worksheet. Here on sheet 2, right, I clicked on the plus sign at the bottom. I'm going to come to A1 and I'm going to paste. You can press enter to paste, or you can right click paste. And there they are. Oh, that's way too big, Pandora. Okay, I'm zooming in and out by holding down the control key and scrolling my wheel. Whee. All right, let's go back to sheet 1. I'm going to clear the filter, click somewhere in my data set, and let's go to 2020. So my due date was 2020. My address has no produce, no fill. And this time I'm looking for, let's again do 200 to 300. Let's do 200 to 300. Oopsie. Number filter between 200 and 300. That's too small. Let's go back to 400. All right, so number filter between 200 and 400. There we go. I'm happier with that. In my data, I'm going to select all, and I'm going to copy. So 2020 between $200 and $400 with no produce. I could have just cleared the balance or the due date and changed just that one, but I wanted us to do it all again. On sheet 2, I'm skipping a couple lines, coming here to A9, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay. If yours didn't match, if you didn't get the right set, I'm basically just looking for a chunk of data here and a chunk of data here, right? So if you wanted to go back and grab some, right, make a little filter, give yourself 4 to 10 rows so I can be able to play with them. Now, what's wrong here? Why am I getting hashtags? The column's too skinny, right? Remember, if you hover over these, it will tell you what the contents of that cell is. You should get a little screen tip telling you. Now, I can go through and auto fit each one of these one at a time, or I can select the whole worksheet and come between and auto fit. Okay. Or I can take the columns themselves, so not just the whole worksheet, but just these columns A through H. And when I resize, they all become exactly the same width. Have you ever done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and had to, the different column width? The solution for that is you select, well, you do mon, tu, wed, right? 3 letters, that makes it easier. But if you wanted to, you select them all and resize them to the widest one. And so then they're all exactly the same width. All right, I want these to be fit. Let me auto fit. Double click between the headings with everything selected, right? Not just these cells, but the entire column or the entire worksheet. Coming back up to the top, I want to take Jacksonville off of my list. So I'm going to come into my filter and I'm going to tell the city, no Jacksonville. Okay. And it didn't get this one down here. Why? Well, let's come down here to this last name and click the filter button. Oh, and then filter again. So I only get one filter per sheet, right? So I can do this data set or this data set, but they're separate. Let me turn the filter back off. Well, the rule of thumb is it's the data set or your selection, right? So if I select these or the entire columns, that makes it one data set. And when I turn on my filter, when I come in here now and I turn off Jacksonville, Jacksonville will disappear. Poof. Cool. But I had to select the whole thing to make that happen. So let me redo that. Let me turn the filter back off. I'm on a new worksheet, I've got a couple of data sets, okay, and I want to be able to remove Jacksonville from both. So I need to select the data, turn on the filter, and now my filter will filter both data sets at the same time. What if I want the opposite? I only want Jacksonville. Let's come back here to city. I'm going to turn off so I only see nothing, right? So nothing is selected. I want Jacksonville only. Okay. It lumped them together. Why? Well, I lost the blanks. Let me open up the city and turn those blanks back on because there were blank rows in between. And if I want those titles, last, first, address, city, I need to make sure that those titles here with my city is also still turned on. But now that I've got the blanks and the titles, I can come in and say, all right, well, how about Gainesville instead? No Jacksonville, yes, Gainesville, and see it will fill in the data sets for me. Turn the filter off. Got one more thing I want to show you about these. There's only one filter per sheet, 255, 256 worksheets in a workbook that you can make. But sometimes, especially if you're going to do like a fancy dashboard and you want to display, it's nice to be able to have the filter multiple different ones on the same sheet. And we do this by formatting these data sets into a table structure, which has its own pluses and minuses. And in the conditional formatting session, we talk about it. And it's not coming up until I think March 9th, but the previous one's online if you're really curious about it. I'm turned off my filters. I'm in cell A1. I'm going to come to the Home tab. And on the Home tab next to conditional formatting is my Format as Table. Right, so after the number group into the styles, you're looking for Format as Table. And as you hover over these, right, you can see the different little colors that are here. Find one that you think looks good and click. Because I was in cell A1, it asked, do you want just A1 through 6? And yes, I do. And I get that beautiful, colorful thing there with its own filter arrows. Let me come down to the second data set. And on the Home tab, Format as Table, and pick another one. And I'm going to do this for 9 through 16 on mine. And when I click OK, how pretty is that? And each table gets its own filter. And each table has some amazing different options that, again, we talk about in the conditional formatting session. So there's one for conditional formatting and formatting as tables. That's the class that session that they're brought together in. But this allows me to be able to now filter multiple and then still have, you know, on the same worksheet. Okay. I kind of stumbled there at the end, but I hope that you followed what I was talking about. So we got to there by formatting as a table in our data sets. And they're so pretty. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. We don't need to save it. I want to thank you for joining me today for the pivot, the large data 1 sorting and filtering. I'm going to give you the class eval in the link if you have time for it. I want to thank you very much for joining me. I hope you come back for more of them. The classes get more and more in depth with bigger and bigger data sets, and we do some amazing things. Next time is the advanced filters, where we can do multiple level filters instead of just multiple columns. We could do much more complicated ones, and an introduction to pivot tables and doing math on your data sets, right? So right now we just sorted and filtered, but I can show you how to do math on the filtered list. You only do the math on that. So it's pretty exciting. I hope you come back for it, and I'll see you next time.